Getchen Partners also did the unusual design building ahead of us with that very narrow base in 2017. Stay on the right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. This orange and red brick building wasn't here in 1860. What was here was a structure called the Wigwam, built to host the Republican National Convention of 1860, where Abraham Lincoln, an Illinois representative, was nominated. He became our 16th president. We are known as the land of Lincoln here in the state of Illinois. We claim 4 presidents: Lincoln, Obama, Ulysses Grant, Ronald Reagan, only 1 born in Illinois, Marshall Field, Montgomery Ward, F.W. Ward, John Wanamaker, and others. In 1945, the Kennedy family swooped in, paid $13 million for this building and unpaid taxes. They resold it in 1998 for $575 million. The Kennedys kept all the property here. This is Wolf Point. They put up 3 marvelous buildings over here, 2 of which are residential. This area, Wolf Point, historic part of Chicago. It's where we got our roots, our first hotel, post office, and so forth. How do we get our name? Well, when the Native Americans came traveling through here, this was all marshland filled with onion plants, and in their native language, they said it smelled like chiquagua or smelly onions. Our brilliant leaders at the tavern in the early 1800s said, hurry up, give this city a name. How about the anglicized name of Chiquagua? Be our name for smelly onions. Brilliant. So we're right at the point of the main north-south branches. When you adapt the design of a building to fit the natural landscape, we call that contextual. Coming up on the left-hand side, these are the residences of Riverbend. It's a perfect example of contextualism. See the bend of the building bends with the river. When they built this building in 2001, $2.2 million. Now I can honestly tell you, I've lived here my whole life. For a long time, this river, extremely polluted. Lots of cleanup efforts over the last 35 years. But on the right-hand side, this upscale exclusive health club, the East Bank Club, went and built in 1979, didn't even have a window on the river side of the building. Nobody wanted to look at it. Now they've got kayaks out and so forth. Former members of this exclusive club, former President Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, and number 23, Michael Jordan. Let's take it over to the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kinsey Park. There's 70 townhomes here, constructed to look like European row houses. Each has their own patio, balcony, rooftop terrace. When they were building Kinsey Park in 2002, before they put a shovel in the dirt, these buildings featured no architectural ornamentation to speak of. Yet he's considered one of the greats for his revolutionary ideas of his time. His motto, less is more, nothing fancy. The very next building we're going to talk about on the right-hand side coming up is what I call a steel and glass box. This is a perfect example of what Mies van der Rohe is all about. This is the AMA Plaza. He did this building in 1971, his last building, currently home to the Langham Hotel. How's the volume? How's the clarity? Everybody good? Excellent. What a day. Staying on the right-hand side, we call these the 2 Coratons of the Midwest. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Marina City. This was the first place you could look at a section of the river back in 1967. Done by an architect, Bertram Goldberg, who believed no right angles in nature, therefore no right angles in architecture. It's still residential, The units are pie-shaped, built around a central elevator core that get bigger as you walk inside. Lots of movies filmed over here at Marina City, The Blues Brothers, as well as a 1980s movie starring Steve McQueen. It was called The Hunter. A stuntman drove his car off of that parking garage into the Chicago River. We have 37 bridges on the Chicago River. They're called bascule trunnion bridges. They all open and close. This city has more movable bridges than any in the United States. Number 2 in the entire world, too. Anybody? Amsterdam, yes. The bridges primarily open on Wednesdays and Saturdays in May and October to let sailboats in and out of the harbor. So we won't be seeing any of the bridges opening today, most likely. If we had taken this ride, what did they find? 300 years of roller skates, the workers truly did skate from one end of this building all the way down to the other to fill orders. Right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, this is Goose Island, named for the Irish immigrants that used to raise geese on the island. We also have a local brewery named Goose Island. They got their name from this. So what kind of fun is this dog on? Steve Poppy seed, how wide do we open our mouths? Like this wide or all 7? Where you go, Chicago hot dogs. The Chicago Tribune has sold all this property here on the right-hand side. They moved to Schaumburg. Come back in 3-4 years, what are you going to see? A brand new casino. Bally's was approved for a casino here in Chicago. There'll be a casino, a hotel, also a music You'll get a peek at that statue in a second, but there's a lot of scaffolding around it, so it's not as... there she is. Progress Lighting. On the right-hand side, this is the domain. This building is where Montgomery Ward kept all his catalog items. This was built in 1908. Notice the horizontal lines, horizontal feel to this building. We had a opportunity on a beautiful day here in Chicago.
In my mind, you came to take us. All things go to recreate us. All things grow. We had our minds
okay, all the buildings on the right hand side.
all things know. You had to find it.
The next building, let's talk about the outro. This is another great building. It's called the Elk because it's elevated. Makes the roof around downtown Chicago, and that's how downtown Chicago is. It's named East Chicago. You'll have to come there, no matter how big the history is. This building, you can see it. All the way up to there, there's 160,000 gallons of water. One direction, all that water will go the opposite way to stabilize the building. The exterior metal fence were inspired by the rippling effect of windswept water. A remarkable building by Getchin Partners. They offer Tai Chi classes. They have neighborhood events. They have an indoor swimming pool. They've got a beautiful pagoda here on the left-hand side. The park named after a very successful businessman, community-minded, Pink Tom. 1954, the old Mayor Daley put the Dan Ryan Expressway through Chinatown. A lot of their open spaces. Chinese food you can eat is over here at Chinatown. Now we're going to be turning the boat around here because we're going to head back down to the South Branch, to the main branch. I've got one very important thing to talk about right in front of us on the right-hand side. This is a historical railroad.
All things go, all things go. You came to take us. All things go, all things go. To recreate us. All things go, all things go. We had our minds set states. All things go, all things go. I had to find things. All things go, all things go.
Okay, all the buildings on the right-hand side over here, they're built above railroad tracks, most of them. Now the next building, oh, hey, let's talk about the L train. This is another great photo. It's called the L because it's elevated, makes a loop around downtown Chicago, and that's how downtown Chicago gets its nickname, the Chicago Loop. You'll have to come down, no matter how good the picture is. Thank you. Now this building here on the right-hand side, it only has a 39-foot wide base. Why? They were bordered by the river on one side, railroad tracks on the other. Now to stabilize this building, we can't see it, but all the way on the roof, there's 160,000 gallons of water. Why? That's a liquid tune dampering system. So if the wind blows in one direction, all that water will go the opposite way to stabilize the building. Boat company in Chicago, Wendell Boat Company's family owned and operated since 1935. Fourth generation, Barry Singh family. All right, I talked about Dean Vanderbilt Steel and Granite Plastics before. He did this in the 60s. Now you can see the walls are opened up under the building. These buildings have commuter trains running under them, Amtrak runs under them. They're built in a fashion they don't vibrate from the trains, nor do they smell diesel. Now, I've lived here my whole life, ladies and gentlemen. I can honestly tell you, the neighborhood just west of here when I was growing up was one of the worst neighborhoods in Chicago. It was filled with winos and sleazy hotels. It was called Skid Row. That very same neighborhood I'm talking about is called the Westwood. There are a lot of great restaurants there, McDonald's, and a very important person lives over there in Westwood.
All things go, all things go. You had to find it. All things go, all things go. I drove to New York in a van with my friend. We slept in parking lots. I don't mind, I don't mind. I was in love with the place. In my mind, I made a lot of mistakes. In my mind, you came to take us. All things go, all things go. To recreate us. All things go, all things go. We had our minds set. All things go, all things go. You had to find it. was for freedom from myself and from the Lamb.